Good morning. I doubled my revenue back in 2018 with a simple business strategy that you might have probably heard about, but overlooked, tried, and found that it did not work for you, or whatever the reason is. And so today I'm coming on here with you to share my story in a more casual, live, laid back, not so scripted way. So that way you can hear about this business strategy, hear my personal journey with it, and I'll also share about others. So, hey, my name is Sailynn, and I am your fun business coach. I help women entrepreneurs make a ton of money, have a lot of fun, and get all the things done with sustainable business strategies. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button because a new YouTube video comes out every single Tuesday at 9 a.m. And it has been a long time since I have come on here live. And so I thought this was a great time because there are a lot new subscribers. And this channel has been getting a lot more views through my YouTube shorts. And so I wanted to share a little bit about why I show up here on Shorts daily and weekly through training videos and talk all about work-life balance. I'm also going to share that how I doubled my revenue. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here as your fun business coach. So I graduated college making $12 an hour back in 2000, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I fell into the event planning industry, and I had 5 jobs in 7 years due to a short contract position and 2 layoffs. So, if that doesn't kind of rock your world after being told I had to go to college and it was going to secure my future and allow me to get everything I want, then I don't know what does. And so, that lack of control with my time and freedom and finances, really, I said to myself, this has to end. And so, randomly, one day, I decided I was going to start my own business. And, it's funny when you put things out, right? The law of attraction. I said, I'm going to start my own business. Monday morning, I walked into the office and there was a spam email and it said, have you ever thought of starting your own business? And I was like, ah. And so I went on a journey with a franchise consulting company to learn about what kind of franchise I may have been interested in purchasing. I ended up purchasing a senior home care franchise in Massachusetts. And it was an amazing experience. I had that business for 10 years, and I learned so much about myself, my strengths, so much of what I had been taught, and really about so much as being a woman and an entrepreneur. And where things kind of shifted for me is about 3 years into business. So, my parents, we are an average family. I always call us the Beaver Cleaver family because we're pretty average. And I was always taught if you want something, then you should work for it, right? That's what most of us have been taught. And if you want something bigger, then you should work harder. Well, I used that so much, right? And I was getting the same message from my franchisor that I should just work more. That 3 years into business, I was ready to break. It was 2010. And I was working 80 plus hour weeks. I was literally getting up in the morning, going to work all day long, getting home at night, and going to bed. And that was like my life. And mentally and physically, I was burnt out to a crisp where I was having brain fog. I was always overwhelmed. I felt like I was getting short-tempered with people, and I was just juggling so many different things. And I knew that I couldn't continue at this pace much longer because I was just slowly fizzling out. And the thing that frustrated me is I'm a figure it out kind of girl. Like, I'm pretty resourceful, I'm pretty technical, I like to fix things, I'm a good problem solver. And I was so frustrated with the fact that I couldn't figure out how to maintain the $1 million business I had built in 3 years by working less. Every time I thought I saw this, something exciting happen and me being able to work less, something would change and I would have to again go back to those 80-hour weeks. And so my mom saw me burning out. She had me meet with a friend of hers who's a business coach. And literally, one meeting with him changed my journey because he told me some things that he saw on the outside that was causing me these 80-hour weeks. And so, what I did after that meeting was I drew a line in the sand and I really said, like, it doesn't matter what I have to do, something just has to change. And so, right then, that was the mindset shift. It was, okay, I'll get to it. I'll work on it. I'll this, I'll that, I'll whatever. At that moment, really made that decision that something had to change and I was done with how I'd been going for 3 years. And so I went on a journey to fix the things that he suggested, but also to really figure out how in the heck do we find work-life balance? Because if working 80-hour weeks as an entrepreneur was what was required, it was not for me. I would rather go back to my 40-hour-a-week job, even though I made half as much money and had, well, probably had more freedom as an employee. And so, what I did for the next 2 years was I just started evaluating everything in my business, all my processes and systems, and how my team was laid out, and just everything. And I just started slowly working on things in between in those pockets of time. And what the shift really was instead of me saying, okay, I'll put that system together. I know I need it, but I'll put it together when I have a break. Is I said, no, this is important for me to make this shift. And so I started prioritizing the things that needed to be done. So, tweaking systems, making things easier, making sure that team members had what they needed to do their job, figuring out why my door was a revolving door all day long with people asking me questions. So, all of those different kinds of things. So, it was that mindset shift of, I'll do it when I have time to, no, this is my new priority. It took me 2 whole years to get where I wanted to go. But 2 years later, I was able to set off in our RV for 30 days straight away from my business, and bring it down here to sunny South Florida, where I ended up landing 5 years later. And so after that 30-day break, I finally felt like had that taste of freedom. And that gave me my faith in entrepreneurship back. And at that time, when I was actually able to breathe a little bit more, I had renewed my faith in business. I was falling back in love with the business I had built. I was feeling some more time freedom. I was maintaining my income and revenue in the business. I finally kind of became more open to things being a little bit different. And with being more open is when someone, a mentor, a neighboring franchise owner, said to me, Sailynn, it sounds like you could benefit from reading the book, The Secret which is all about the law of attraction. And that was in 2012. And that was probably the kickstart of my journey for the past 10 years on how I've gone on to improve not only my business, but more importantly, myself, how my mind, body, and spirit kind of work together in harmony so we can get this work life balance integration. And so I started reading more books on personal development and professional development. I was a book lover. Um, but I didn't have the time when I was working 80 hours, but I started bringing this back into my world. And then I started really trying to work on myself, going back to the physical and mental exhaustion that I had been feeling. Now that I had some relief and some breathing room because I had made that decision to prioritize those things, I was starting to work more on my health. I was getting myself more physically active again, and I was saying no to more things to preserve my mental health. And those were the times when things started to get better and better and better in my business. And what happened is I actually spent the next 5 years tweaking my business more and more and more to make it a well-oiled money-making business machine. And around year 10 in my business, so that was 2017, I had been working in senior home care for 13 years at that time, but I knew that I was ready for my next challenge in life. I knew that I wanted more. See, when you work in senior home care, you are working with people a lot of times at the end of their life. And I can tell you that no one ever says, I wish I had worked more at the office. No one ever says that, right? You hear about their regrets about how they should have spent more time with their children and their family, and how they should have taken that trip, or they should have been more present, and all of those different kinds of things. And just those repeating comments over and over and over again, they really work on your mindset. And so I basically started thinking to myself, what did I need to do? And this is when it sparked me to say, it's time to sell this business that you have developed and designed, and that's this money making machine. And it's time for you to step into this next opportunity of your life. And so I sold the business in 2017 and started over here in sunny South Florida. That's where I am now. And honestly, I really thought that I was going to sell the business, start a new business, and everything was going to be unicorns and rainbows. And I had been an entrepreneur for 10 years. And of course, I'm going to have immediate success. But I didn't. And so I knew when I got into the online space that I needed to hire coaches because I hadn't worked in the online space at all. And one of the things that was so huge for me when I was building my first business was having that franchisor support team and neighboring owner support team. And so I knew I needed coaching. And so I hired coaches in October of 2017 because I hadn't seen the results, and I knew I wanted to, really build this online business that was going to give me that freedom. That's what they said about working online. And so after 9 months of not seeing the results, I signed up for a summer mastermind event. And during that mastermind, my coaches introduced me to this business strategy that just 90 days later allowed me to double my revenue. And so what this business strategy is something that's been around forever. And if you Google Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, I mean, so many big celebrities and entrepreneurs and successful men and women, they're going to tell you that they have a morning routine of some sort. And the thing about it is you say to yourself, why am I going to add more work into what I'm doing right now? And basically, if you had told me this back in 2010, Sailynn, I want you to spend 10 to 30 minutes a day on a morning routine, I would have laughed at you because I'm like, I don't even have an extra 10 minutes of my day. But what I realize now, as I'm more farther into my entrepreneur journey, celebrating 15 years this year, is that building a business is 80% mindset and 20% work. And it goes back to the Pareto principle, right? Which is the 80-20 rule, which is that 80% of 20% where you put your effort is going to give you 80% of your results. And that 80-20 rule has been around for a very long time. And you see it in so many instances. And it's the same thing in business. You need to have your mindset in place in order to build the business of your dreams. You can hustle harder and harder and harder to build a business, and you probably will, but it might not be the one of your dreams. You might build a multi 6-figure, multi 7-figure, multi 8 or 9 or 10-figure business through working hard. But if you don't have the mindset piece in place, most likely you're going to run into the exhaustion, the overwhelm, the burnout, and all of those kinds of things. And so what a morning routine does is it keeps you grounded. And you guys, I am a person who likes to keep things as simple as possible, automate as much as possible. Things don't have to be pretty and perfect anymore. They just have to get done. So I have my morning routine notebook here. If you know me, you know I love Lily Pulitzer. So it's just a plain old notebook. Go get it at the dollar store. And I write in it every single day. And every 90 days or so, I redo my morning routine because I've always worked in 90-day increments. And I find in 90 days, it's a length of time that allows you to try something. And it's long enough that you can try something new, but it's not so long that if you try it and it doesn't work, that you've wasted a long time. But also it's a long enough amount of time that if you need to pivot in there a little bit, that it gives you that kind of test period. So every 90 days or so. So you can see in the middle of this notebook, right? So this was previous 90 days that I started kind of a new 90-day kind of run. And what did I do? I took a sticky note and I just wrote here and put it down. It is not pretty and perfect. It's what works. And this is what we do in business, right? We do what works. And so my morning routine, and I have tweaked this so many times over the past 4 years, consists of me reviewing my vision. This is so important, you guys. You have to have a vision. And one of the things that I think is so scary and sad but true nowadays is people have stopped having visions and dreams because we're no longer asked to dream big. It's like once we graduate college, no one asks you anymore, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so that vision is something that is really kind of, you know, it's so important that you have that because that is your North Star that is guiding you home every single day and all day long. So that is where you need to start. You need to have your vision. So I have mine written out here. And then the second part is you have to have affirmations. And yes, I have the cute little affirmation signs and those different kinds of things on my desk and the t-shirts and all of those. But when you write down affirmations that speak to your soul and you read them out loud every single day, those are huge. So you want to make sure that, yeah, while that sign is super cute on your desk, does that really speak to who you want in your dream lifestyle, right? Or is it just a cute saying? So I read 20 of them that speak to me. Then what I do is I go over my goals, right? And I have short-term goals and I have long-term goals. And we can talk all about SMART goals and all of those different kinds of things. I'm not a big fan of the SMART goals, but um, goals are huge, and I personally like to make them as simple as possible. I find when I overcomplicate them, that's when things get messy and I lack the motivation to get them done. The key with goals is that they need to align with your vision. So if your vision says that you want to, have this beautiful house in the mountains and your goals don't align with you getting that house in the mountains, then you are sending conflicting information out into the universe. And it's kind of like, okay, right, like you got to get clear there. So those have to match. And then I always have my personal and professional development, which it's really so important. So many of the women that I work with want to be seen as an industry leader. And if you want to be an expert or a leader in your industry, you need to keep learning. And that is so key in your daily life. So for me, I love to learn. I love to read. And so I learn every single day. And then I wrap everything up, or actually, is with some gratitude. And, going back to my career in senior home care, if you are at your lowest low right now, I can tell you, you could probably name 10 things right now that you can be grateful for that someone else probably can't. So think about, were you able to wake up this morning? Someone else didn't. Were you able to get out of your bed on your own this morning? Someone else couldn't do that. Did you make yourself breakfast this morning? Someone else can't do that on their own. Do you have a home? Some people don't right now. So there are many things, and there is always something that you can be grateful for in your life. So no matter where you are in your mind right now or physically, there's always something to be grateful for in life. So when I implemented this morning routine, this is when I doubled my revenue. My business coaches asked me to commit for 90 days, and I did, even though I groaned out loud because I am the biggest non-morning person there is out there. I do not like mornings. But when I looked up 90 days later, I had doubled my revenue. And you're like, how in the heck does that happen? Well, let me give you just a couple of examples of how that's possible. If you're feeling overwhelmed right now, like you're juggling all those balls out there, think about every single morning when you read over your vision, right? And someone says to you, Sailynn, would you like to chair this committee? Right? You are going to, before you respond, right? So before your ego gets in the way and you're like, oh, that would look good on my resume, or before you feel that sense of guilt, or before you want to prove to everyone that you can do it all, I want you to think about, what will chairing that committee do as far as getting you closer to your dream lifestyle? If you're just saying yes out of guilt to prove you can do it all or to feed your ego, but it's not going to align with your dream lifestyle, you should say no. So every single time that a request comes across your email, social media, text messages, in person, you're going to take 30 seconds, 1 minute, just to think, will this get me closer to that dream lifestyle? And if the answer is no, then just say no. I teach the sandwich technique to my students, and that's basically telling people no without feeling guilt. And, it works like a charm. I've been using it for 20 plus years and it's amazing. Someone taught it to me. And so if you're feeling that, okay, so what happens? So let's roll with that, right? So all of a sudden, when you start saying no to all of these things that don't align, guess what? You're going to have more time to spend doing something fun with your family or friends or by yourself, or you're going to have more time to spend on improving your business. Maybe that's better systems, better technology, better tools that's going to free you from all the work that you're having to do manually right now. So, when you align your morning routine with your life and you use it as a daily reminder of why you're working forward every single day, it's going to keep you motivated. It's going to eliminate that overwhelm. It's going to help you lessen juggling all of those plates. It's going to keep you refreshed and excited so you don't feel burnout on a daily basis. These are the kind of things. And what's going to happen is then you're going to get rid of that brain fog, get rid of that exhaustion, get rid of that burnout, and you're going to be able to better focus on your business, make better decisions, implement more tools and tech and all different things that is truly going to help you increase your revenue and do those kinds of things. So it seems counterproductive that you would actually do 30 minutes more work a day, but it's actually going to help you get better results in your life and work. So, as always, every single week, I bring you a free resource. It is going to be in the description of this video, but I have a free PDF for you called The Foundation to Building a $1,000,000 Mindset. And this is going to give you the exact steps that I use every single day of my morning to show you, to give you a guide, and also it has a template in it so you can see what I do in the guide, and then you can use the template to design one that works and speaks to you. So that is available in the description. If you have any questions about it, you can pop them here in the comments. And if you're watching this when this goes live, November 15th, there is a very exciting announcement that's going to help you implement a amazing morning routine that's going to help you work better, faster, quicker, coming on Thursday, November 17th, 2022. So I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Regularly scheduled program will be back next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And as always, my DMs are open. If you have any questions, all of the information to connect with me is on the About section on my channel. So thank you so much for being here today for the Sailynn Show and this little bit of a different behind the scenes journey and how I was able to double my revenue by adding 30 minutes of a mindful morning routine. I hope you guys have a great day and enjoyed this video. Talk to you later.